All right, let's get into this next one. Donald Trump is in trouble. I know. What are the odds? Donald Trump has some controversy attached to him. So the Democratic House Committee has released the results of an investigation into Trump here. And let me pull it up on Twitter so I can find the exact figures here. So Donald Trump allegedly received millions of dollars from foreign governments as president. That's what the House Democrat report says. He took in at least $7.8 million from foreign entities while in office. Now, remind you, this is coming after the Bob Menendez scandal, the Democratic senator from New Jersey who was taking gold bars from the Egyptian government. Mind you, he's still there while George Santos is in trouble for Botox. He's gone for Botox and OnlyFans. This guy took gold bars from a foreign government that doesn't exactly have great relations with the United States, and he's still there. But God forbid Santos does anything, right? I think it's discrimination against gay people, personally. I think it's homophobic that the House removed George Santos.
You are gay.
When they've let so much just rampant crime and corruption carry on for so long. That's my opinion. But nonetheless, so they're saying Trump received $7.8 million from foreign entities while in office. Now, it says, engaging in the kind of conduct the GOP is grasping to pin on President Biden, because, there's the accusations about Biden receiving money from foreign companies and governments through his son that's laundered through his son's business, which probably happening. Now, if Trump did receive $7.8 million in bribes, that would be a problem. The issue is these are payments being made to his hotels from foreign governments. So, I'm going to make this clear. If he was getting bribes, then yeah, arrest him. He's as crooked as the rest of them. But here's the reality. These are hotels. These are foreign governments paying hotels that he technically didn't even own while he was president because he couldn't. Foreign officials traveling to the United States did not start under the Trump administration. Now, I would need to see before I made any because I'm not going to give a take on this. I'm just going to lay out the facts. I would need to see documents that compared the year-by-year payments from foreign officials to Trump's hotels before I made any type of judgment. Because if they paid him $7.8 million while he was president, but over the 4 years prior to that, they paid him 7.6, that's really not a big increase, especially when you consider inflation. So it's just foreign officials coming to stay in his hotels. That's not corruption. That's not like he's getting checks paid to his kids who then pay him back for a quote-unquote loan that he never gave them. That's not the same thing. Good thing that was empty. Starbucks latte, $6 for bullshit. Not the same thing. But they conveniently leave that out. You'd think if you were going... No, it's not that you think. This is how this works. If you were going to investigate corruption and you said, hey, I think that foreign nationals were bribing the president, which is a hell of an accusation, were bribing the president and paying him, and laundering the money through his hotels so it looked like they were conducting legitimate business, what you would then need to do is compare the amount of money that Trump hotels got from foreign entities while he was president to how much money they received from foreign government officials when he wasn't. Because if that number doesn't change, or if it's an insignificant change, or if it's nothing when you account for inflation, or if it actually declined, then you have nothing here. But they conveniently leave that out of the case. Their entire investigation, they didn't even bother to look into that. So that tells me this is bullshit until I see otherwise. Okay. Next up. Oh, one more thing on the Trump thing. Whether he's guilty of this or not, is anyone else that's right of center like myself getting a little fatigued on this guy? I think we need to start asking ourselves, is he worth the baggage that he comes with? I'm going to give you an example. It's not as big of a scale, but it's similar. I remember the controversy about Colin Kaepernick when he was taking a knee during the national anthem, and everyone was saying the NFL colluded against him because nobody signed him. No, that's not true. That's not true. Teams will take on the media circus, businesses, whatever, will take on the media circus and the baggage if your play and performance on the field outweighs the negative. You've had guys like Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on, that have gotten NFL jobs consistently, and people like that in every sport, in every industry, et cetera, consistently get work because their performance on the field outweighs the baggage. Even though they've got some issues, their performance on the field outweighs the baggage that they had off of it. And teams are like, you know what, we're willing to take that chance. Nobody colluded against Kaepernick. He just wasn't good enough to outweigh the baggage that came with it. That's all there was to it. So we have to start asking ourselves, does Donald Trump outweigh the baggage that he comes with the negative connotations? Did we have a great economy under Trump? Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Was the world a safer place under Donald Trump than it is right now? Absolutely. We've never been closer to World War III and economic collapse than we are under Biden. Those are two major things to screw up. But the question here is, how much of a drop-off is there in those two categories from Donald Trump to somebody like Ron DeSantis, to somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy, to somebody like Glenn Youngkin from Virginia? How much of a drop-off is there in economic output and international global politics and world safety? I don't think there's going to be that big of a drop-off with either of those two guys. I think they're going to be pretty similar policy-wise to Donald Trump. Now let's think of the negative with Trump. And I know a bunch of you are tuning out now or throwing your phones at the wall or screaming. Hear me out, because you can't deny this stuff. Donald Trump went in with the intent to drain the swamp and then surrounded himself with the figurative swamp. I mean, James Comey, Jeff Sessions, we could go on and on, Nikki Haley. We could go on and on and on and on about the bad people this guy surrounded himself with. Now, is there a chance that he learned in his first 4 years and he's going to go in with the next 4 years and go, okay, now I know who I can't trust? Absolutely there is. Not only did he surround himself with people like that, he surrounded himself with Anthony Fauci. He gave Dr. Fauci, the dog killer, Dr. Fauci Vic, he gave him the keys to the car during the COVID shit and basically just let him drive us off a cliff. The COVID lockdowns in 2020 happened because Donald Trump allowed them to. All of the insanity that you saw with COVID in 2020 happened because Donald Trump stood idly by and let it happen. You ever see the movie Boondock Saints? Mia, have you ever seen that movie?
No.
The movie Boondock Saints is about two brothers. Daryl from The Walking Dead's in it. It's about two brothers that go on and they kill a bunch of mobsters in the name of the Catholic Church. And there's one scene in that movie that sticks out to me every single time because it's at the very beginning. There's a priest talking, and he says he tells a story about a woman who got beat to death and raped in public while 30 people stood by and watched. And he says, we must all fear evil men. But the thing we must fear more than evil men is the indifference of good men, the people that stand idly by and allow the bad people to do whatever they want and have their way with the innocents. Donald Trump wasn't the one threatening to destroy people's livelihoods and trying to mandate vaccines for kids to go to school and crazy shit like that. He wasn't doing that. Donald Trump, however, stood idly by while blue state governors and unelected bureaucrats at the National Institute of Health gang raped this country. He stood by and let them do that. So he was the indifferent, I don't know if I'd call him a good man, but he was the indifferent person in this situation. I mean, how many times can you cheat on your wife if I'm going to keep calling you a good guy? Let's be real. The guy, you can like him as a president. His policies were pretty good, but morally he was shit. But nonetheless, Donald Trump stood by and let these people destroy this country. The problems you see today are not because Donald Trump enacted them policy-wise. They're not because of things Donald Trump did. They're because of things that he let happen. So Dr. Fauci, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, Andrew Cuomo, those are the bad men. Donald Trump was the indifferent man who stood there and let these people have their way with us as a country. So, yes, it's easy to be mad at Biden and the Democrats and Fauci and blue state governors. And yeah, I understand. You should be mad at them. They're scum. Big Pharma, absolutely. Fuck all of them. But Trump shares a little bit of the blame here. So that's when I want to round it back here, that's what I'm asking. Does all the good stuff Donald Trump accomplished while he was in office outweigh the bad? Does it outweigh that? And then when you add the baggage he comes with from the media, did his performance on the field warrant us signing him to a contract and risking all of the negative press and risking losing because so many people are fed up with him and fatigued? Because that's the risk we're running right now. I cannot think of something that's much more dangerous than a lame duck Joe Biden. 4 more years of Joe Biden not having to worry about getting reelected. I don't know what's more dangerous than that. Your kids will be shipped off to World War III. Will be shipped off to World War III. We will see an economic collapse and a depression if Joe Biden gets reelected. We will see it. There's no doubt about it. Now, he'll sit there while the unemployment rate's at like 72% and Russia just dropped 17 nukes in Europe, and he'll stand there and say, the state of the world's never been greater. We've never been better than we are right now. And he'll stand there and say that, but it won't make it true. We don't believe your lying eyes, right? So we have to ask ourselves, is the baggage worth it? Can people, I mean, yes, everything sucks under Biden right now, and people are, kind of with a rosy retrospective looking back on Trump. And they're like, yeah, could really use that Trump guy, could go for $1.50 gallon of gas and inflation below 3%. Yeah, absolutely. People are looking back on it thinking that way. But when the chips are on the table, how many of those people are actually going to vote for him? How much of the good can outweigh the baggage? Can we get this guy elected, or do we need to start looking elsewhere? I'm not saying Christie or Haley, God no. But somebody like a DeSantis, somebody like a Vivek that hasn't had, I mean, let's face it, Donald Trump has had his life torn open more than any other human in the history of this planet, including Jesus Christ. No one has had their life looked into, and every single element of it looked into and picked apart and tried to spin in a negative direction like Donald Trump has had. No one that's ever walked this earth has had that kind of negative press on them. Some of it warranted, most of it not. But we got to start asking. It's just like, I keep going back to sports here, but then we're all jocks, right? We're all guys. Well, we're not all guys, but we're all jocks here. You got a running back that's carried the ball 35 times in a game. Maybe you should take him out and let the backup get a few more reps because that guy's banged up. He's going to fumble. Or you're going down the stretch of the season, you want to have a backup. You want to have a number 2, sometimes even a number 3, because the starter gets so banged up in your 17-game schedule that you got to find somebody else that can pop in an emergency. Because the starter comes in, he's moving slow, he's fumbling the ball, getting blown up in the backfield. Sometimes you got to have that backup. Not sometimes, all the time. You got to have that backup that can come in and get the job done in a similar fashion. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.